Okay. So, choosing unconsciousness only builds a lot of fear, does it?
Uh, you said choosing unconsciousness or
Yeah,
consciousness?
choosing
Unconsciousness.
unconsciousness.
So choosing unconsciousness is mostly because I'm scared. It does not bring up fear. It happens because I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm scared of facing my shadows, my emotions, or someone else's shadow, someone else's uh,
Emotion.
emotions, their feelings. Scared of facing that. So
Mm.
better I act as if I'm dead.
Mm.
Better I go into depression. Better
Mm.
I numb myself.
Mm.
Okay, so depression is what? Acting dead.
Mm.
Not that people do it deliberately. I'm not saying that, oh, acting dead means you're acting and you're not going through anything. No, no, no.
Yeah.
It's very deep.
Yeah.
And you're subconsciously choosing death, or you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be heard, you don't want to be present
Mm.
because it's too painful.
Yeah.
And there are times when a person is going through a lot of pain, really, and the
Mm.
only escape for them is to, just to leave the body, just to leave the consciousness and reality.
Mm.
Especially children when they're going through a lot of trauma, abuse.
Mm. Mm.
So the best way is to leave and
Yeah.
not experience it. And and a lot of people who are not present in their space, in their body, uh, they have gone through a lot in their childhood. That was the only coping mechanism for them.
Mm.
One of my clients, she shared this with me, and it was so beautiful. She said, when I was a child, I was a very creative person. I would
Mm.
create stories in my head. I would write novels in my head. Oh, she was
Mm.
really young, 8 years, 9 years, and just
Mm.
because her reality was so painful, she
Mm.
didn't want to face certain things. So she would, just escape, and she would start creating nice stories in her head that, oh, my mother is this, or my father is so nice. And she would create a family in her own head and
Okay.
not be so present in her reality. Okay,
Mm.
that did create a lot of problems for her because she would then
Mm.
get punishment because she was not present, and she would make a lot of mistakes, and she
Mm.
would do a lot of things because she was not present. But she was so happy being in her own
Yeah. That
world. And a lot
was
of
her reality.
children, they do that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, they escape in their own fantasy world.
Mm.
Some do it for creative purposes, some do it to just escape their reality. Okay,
Mm.
so yeah, and a lot of artists are
Mm.
born in this process, but a lot of people, especially now, they're choosing unconsciousness. They're just choosing to be numb and not experience anything because creativity, there's less space and
Mm.
time for creativity also these days. Earlier,
Mm.
people had time to do
Mm.
painting,
Yeah.
artwork, dance, and all of
Yeah.
that. Even while they were struggling with so many things,
Mm.
finances and this and that, still they had time for these things. Now, and that was their escape.
Mm.
But it was such a nice escape, right? Grounding escape, so much present with their
Yeah.
own thoughts and feelings. Now we have shortcuts.
Mm.
We don't have time and space for being so creative.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, problems have always been there. The way we are handling it right now is becoming zombie. And the way people handled it earlier, where they try to tap their talents. So they were still going inward. It may not be facing this particular situation. It's like, okay, what else can I discover about my own self? And that is joy, no?
Yeah. Um, Joy or, a way of channeling their emotions. So, I remember when I was growing up and, especially as a teenager, you have so many things going on. I remember, we didn't have phone or TV so much. We were not allowed to watch TV. And it was a very, you know, a lot of a household with a lot of rules. We didn't watch TV so much. So we had a lot of time. Even with studies and everything, we still had time to play and do things. I remember I would write so much. Journaling was a habit, and I would write my thoughts, stories, and even if I was not good at drawing, I would scribble and I would draw something
Mm,
and process my emotions
mm,
through those writing, through drawings, and I would read so much. I remember I would read so much as a
mm.
teenager, and I'm sure a lot of people around me, a lot of teenagers around me, they were reading then.
Yeah,
I'm sure people do read now also, but the interest in reading has gone down. The interest in writing has
yeah,
gone down.
yeah.
Just sitting and doing nothing has gone down. We can't do that
Mm,
anymore, in the same way that we used to do earlier. And the way we used to channel the emotions, channel the trauma was pretty
yeah.
different. And now I'm not saying that was the ideal way of living. I'm
Mm,
not saying that. There's no ideal way. There
yeah.
are always going to be problems. There are always going to be trauma, no matter how much comfort you try to give your child, how much you protect your child. They're going to go through their own, dramas, traumas, emotions, and they will. And they will learn how to, cope up with it. So these days we have social media and, phones and so much going on, on social media itself, and so many apps and games and this and that. Less creative though, where we are not able to use our faculties properly. In fact, we are destroying our
Mm,
intelligence, our creativity by
mm,
using so many apps and by
yeah.
being on social media so much. But yeah, it's not just about social media, Jayanti. It is about what we are choosing. It is about how we are trying to numb
Mm,
ourselves.
mm,
Okay. I'm not saying we didn't try to do that earlier. We did. So through writing, through reading, okay,
mm, mm,
I would try to adjust my emotions. I would try to suppress my emotions. But it was a creative way. It helped me channel, and I'm sure it helped a lot of people channel their emotions and use
mm,
it.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's how I don't know. What about you? How did you channel your emotions when you were younger?
When I was younger, I was too influenced by mother's situation. It was a joint family, lot of things going on. But yeah, I always had interest in drawing, painting. But still, the environment was always very sad. So that sadness was always there. Um, Only with time that I realized, hey, listen, I can create a different reality. That came very recently. But then that essence of the house environment, I carried it for a longer duration. Even recently, I started painting. Okay, couple of years I painted. Even while painting, what was happening was it was all getting stagnated. That essence which I had carried when I'm painting, it was getting stagnated. So then I love painting. I was doing a decent job, but then later I realized that this is not working for me. I need to keep myself on the go. So I stopped painting because I realized that I need to get rid of these emotions. I don't want to stagnate them. So then I've stopped painting. I'll get back there someday for sure because I love doing it. Now I'm more on the move. I'm always on the move because I think that's one way for me to dissolve these. Even just being aware that okay, I've stagnated a lot of emotion from my childhood, and I need to let go of them. It is not serving me. I don't want them. So that choice itself has helped me to let go of a lot of things. And now I'm definitely much more. I told you, know, I keep the burden in the side. I don't carry it on my head, which I don't feel like doing it and all that. So that awareness that you can just put things aside, let it get, that has come. Yeah, painting is not something that helped me. I'm mostly on the go. I'm always doing things. What really calms me down or makes me feel joy, which is also not planned. I never plan to organize my house or um, make it beautiful. I have noticed that when I'm clutter in the head, um, without even realizing, my body just goes and starts cleaning up, organizing things, and by the end of it, I feel very calm and relaxed, and it helps. That helps me.
Wow, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And from there comes another, you know, another aspect of consciousness, clutter. So, one of the ways of being conscious is how can you be more conscious? How can you be more present with your own self? So earlier, in ancient times or in our parents' times or our grandparents' times, they had you know rituals and rules, certain rules and rituals that they would follow, okay? And they would not go against it. Like, when they would enter the house, they would clean their feet, wash their hands, right? That was a rule. And nobody would ask a question. It was just supposed to be done. You
Mm,
wash your vegetables, you wash certain items if you have got it from outside. It was unsaid and it was done. And the house should not be cluttered and it should be clean and all of that. Water, there should be no water stagnating anywhere in the house. So it was all very set. The rules were very set. Okay. So they were aware, they were present, whether they were aware or not, let's say they were doing everything that could keep them present.
mm,
Now, let's say you see your house cluttered, okay? And no matter what you are doing, but your house is still cluttered, it is a sign. Maybe universe is trying to give you that your mind is cluttered. You need to clear your mind. It's a sign. Okay, your environment is a sign of what's happening inside, right? So it is one of the ways to become conscious of what's going on. Like how, you fall sick, so you know that there's something off in the body. Same way, your house will give you
mm,
signs. A tap not working, a tap leaking is also a sign. Earlier I remember my dadi or, even my mother would say it's a bad sign, it's not a good thing. If water is leaking in the house, if you can hear the tap
mm,
leaking, it's a bad sign, it's a bad omen. Okay, and we need to get it fixed, otherwise something negative will happen in the house.
mm,
It's not about the something negative will happen in the house. It is just a sign that there's something happening. Water is what? Water represents emotions.
mm,
Okay. So when the element water is not flowing properly in the house, it means there's some emotional issue going in the house with someone.
okay. Okay.
So these are signs. Okay. Otherwise, you know, um, not otherwise, actually, each and everything, each and every ritual, each and every rule that we had earlier in our parents' house or in our grandparents' house, they had some meaning. Of course, they didn't know how to explain that to us, so
Mm,
they would just impose them on us, right? But it was all related to consciousness. It was all related to being present, being present with your food. Okay.
yeah.
Avoid eating your food like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't close your, third eye and eat food. This is you're just closing. You don't want to see what you're eating. Okay. So there's so many things basically.
Yeah.
So, but we have to relearn at
Mm,
least some of them to become conscious, or we need to do a lot of internal work to become
Hmm.
conscious. So, yeah, yeah, so the clutter is a sign
Hmm.
of clutter within. So
Yeah.
automatically, because you're conscious, you're so present, your body automatically tells you, okay, let's clear this, this will get cleared. Let's clear the
Okay.
house, this will go off.
Hmm.
This will help because your house is a reflection of your mind, your subconscious,
Hmm.
right? So, yeah, so there are so many ways to be conscious and to avoid being numb. How do you know that you're unconscious? A lot of people are not even aware of what is unconsciousness, what is consciousness, and especially people who've been youngsters who've just grown up in this environment. We still have, something to compare with, right?
True.
They don't
True.
have anything to compare with. So
We are not good examples for our children.
yeah, so for
Example.
them, they wouldn't know what's the difference between consciousness and unconsciousness. I'm not saying everyone, okay, the entire generation. No, I'm not saying. There are so many youngsters very conscious, very intelligent, very smart, very present, very clear about their focus, their life purpose. But most of us, including us too, people from our generation too, we don't know the difference between being conscious or unconscious.
Hmm.